The key business challenge when you talk about assessments is usually about getting the right people in the right place, right? But in Ericsson, where I work, we have a long history of using assessments. So this belief that using assessments will get the right people in place is already there, was already there. So for us, the challenge really was that we had, for a number of key roles, we had also a number of different assessments, and they would vary a lot in terms of how they were applied, the extent of the assessment, what type of vendors were being used, who were doing the assessments, quality, cost, and so on and so on. So what we really wanted was an assessment solution or an approach to assessments that we could manage centrally across all these different job roles and different functional areas. Actually, we had started the work before we started working with Qt, and what we did was to apply a standardized competency model across all different types of job roles that we have in Ericsson. So that meant that for the number of job roles where we actually wanted to apply an assessment, we had a standardized description of the behavioral requirements. So that was the starting point. And what we then did together with Qt was to look at, for all these competencies from this standardized model, would there be one way of assessing that could actually cover all these competencies? So what Qt did for us was set up a platform where we had one assessment approach, one collection of tools and questionnaires, so one assessment, but that then would generate different types of reports depending on what type of job role. So one assessment, but you could assess different job roles with the same solution. We already had a tradition for having like really competency-based reports in Ericsson. So, and to me that is critical because that sort of translates all the assessment content into what is critical for the business or for job performance. So we already had that in place, but we follow that same type of structure, and the reports are like really crisp. So we have a summary where we see how one candidate has done. We have a clear statement on the outcome, whether he or she is considered ready for the role or not. And then there is more detail on each competency, which really gives feedback to the candidate on what her strengths to leverage and what are their development areas. So what we do see is that we have an assessment that is running in a much more efficient way, involving much less people in the organisation. So, I mean, just on that side, it's cost and times saved. The feedback that we get from the business now, because this is an assessment for selection, so your candidate as a hiring manager would be considered ready or not yet ready. But the feedback from the business seems to be increasingly that they see the value add of this assessment, which is good to see. We're continuously monitoring this and looking at hit rates and the results and so on, and we'll continue doing that.